Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our July 2025 Friends and Fiction Official Book Club, featuring the instant New York Times bestseller and one of our favorite people on earth, Kristin Harmel, with The Stolen Life of
number.
Colette Marceau. Oh my goodness. We're excited. We know you guys are excited. Oh, welcome new members. For those of you who don't know, I'm Lisa, and I'm here with my co-host, beautiful Brenda.
Ooh, that's a new one.
We're already off the rails. That's how excited we are.
I know, right? We haven't even started.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce our lovely guest?
I would be delighted to because I have not been able to wait for this discussion.
I know.
I'd love to introduce to y'all tonight Kristin Harmel, who's the New York Times bestselling, USA Today bestselling, and #1 international bestselling author not only of this book, but of The Paris Daughter, The Forest of Vanishing Stars, The Book of Lost Names, The Winemaker's Wife, and many other novels that have been translated into more than 30 languages and are sold all over the world. Kristin has been writing professionally since the age of 16 when she began her career as a sports writer covering Major League Baseball and NHL hockey for a magazine in Tampa Bay in the late 90s. Her first novel was published in 2006, and her books have been finalists for the Goodreads Choice Award and the Jewish Book Award. After graduating from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communication, she lived in Paris and Los Angeles and now lives in Orlando with her husband and son. She's not there though. She's going to show us something in a few minutes. She's a breast cancer survivor and, of course, the co-founder and co-host of the popular weekly web show that we know a little bit about called Friends in Fiction. Welcome, Kristin.
Yay!
Hello. Okay, I have to show you. Thank you for that nice welcome. I have to show you where I am. If I can do this without screwing this up. I am in Palm Beach. We are on vacation. And look at this view. Isn't that gorgeous?
It's stunning.
So right when we finish book club, see that little table out there? That's where my husband and I are going to have dinner tonight. So we're excited. We're doing
that is so nice.
Yeah, it's nice. We just spent a few hours on the beach, and it was a beautiful day, and it didn't rain, which is very weird for Florida this time of year. So all good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time on your
course.
vacation to chat with
Well,
us.
you know I love you guys.
We love you back.
We
And I
certainly
wanted to
do.
also thank you for giving us a shout out in the acknowledgments of this book.
course.
That always means so much to us. Thank
Aw.
you so much.
Well, that makes me so happy. Thank you for saying that.
Oh,
So
well, we do thank you, Kristin.
Well, you
I
guys are the
know.
best. I mean, you do such a tremendous job running this book club. I mean, it is such a blessing to us at Friends in Fiction to have the two of you, and it's such an important, wonderful part of our community. I mean, God, you guys are almost up to 40,000 members, aren't you? It's
Yeah.
amazing. I
Getting
mean,
close.
40,000 really engaged members as part of our community. It's a beautiful thing, and we're really grateful for everything that the two of you do.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Can't start off getting teary.
No, too soon. Too soon.
No tears at the beach, Lisa. Come on.
Right.
No tears
If
at
only
the
I
beach.
was at the beach with you.
I wish you were here. Be fun.
So I wanted to start off. The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau has definitely struck the chord with our members, rightfully so, because it is another Kristin Harmel masterpiece. Can you share what it's been like on book tour? Or were there any standout or memorable moments?
Yeah, book tour was amazing. I was on the road for 2 solid weeks, which is pretty much my standard these days. You know, my son Noah is 9, and my books tend to come out in the
Wow.
summer, so it's hard. It's really difficult emotionally as a mom, but also logistically to leave for 2 solid weeks. But I've been able to plan it so that the middle of my tour is Orlando, which is great because that means I get to go out for a week, come home, do my laundry, switch the stuff in my bag, see Noah for a night, and then head back out. So that's what I did this time. The book tour kicked off with the Friends and Fiction gals at Plus Ron in Manasquan, New Jersey, which is very close to where Meg lives. So that was a wonderful way to start the tour. In fact, my film manager came in for that event and brought his dog. So we had a we had a black lab there with us in the green room, along with
I love
my
that.
friend and my manager Jonathan. So that was a beautiful way to start. Um, and I would say if I had to choose like one cool thing to tell you about from book tour, it would be the night I actually saw Marlene Waters,
Oh,
at an unlikely story in Plainville, Massachusetts. So Marlene, of course, is one of your book club members. I love her. Um, but that store is owned by Jeff Kinney, the author of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, which my son loves. And Jeff Kinney came to my event, which was lovely. And we get to talking and I said, "Hey, you're one of my son's favorite authors." And he said, "Do you want to FaceTime him now and I'll give him a tour of my studio?" So I get to FaceTime Noah and hand the phone to Jeff Kinney, who went upstairs and gave Noah a tour of his third floor studio where he writes all of his books. So um,
wow.
How
Noah was like,
awesome.
yeah, Noah thought it was very cool. So to me, that was one of the real highlights of tour.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah, it was
so
awesome.
cool.
And that was the night I found out I'd hit the New York Times list for this book too. So it was like and my aunt was there and my cousin was there. And like, it was just and Marlene
Oh,
was there. It was just like a very emotional night overall.
that is amazing.
It was pretty awesome.
Oh, I
Oh,
love that.
wow. That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, before we get started with kind of the meat of tonight's discussion, I did want to ask you one thing a little bit before that, and that
Sure.
is you have written you're consistently about World War II in
Yeah.
various locations. And I was just wondering, is there a place or a setting that you've wanted to write about but haven't yet?
That's a great question. Uh, my heart really is in Paris. I mean, I lived in Paris for a little while in my early 20s, which in my head is much more recent than it was. Like my early 20s were a much longer time
That's
ago.
how time works, you know.
It
Not
is how
that
time
long
works.
ago.
That's
It was
true.
just a couple of
Um,
years ago.
exactly. So, I don't know that it's so much wanting to write about a setting I haven't written about as wanting to write about a time period I haven't written about. So, my next book, which I think will be out next year, is set in the modern day. And it has been a really long time since I have done a non World War II story. So that was something I had really been wanting to do. And even though it's the same city, it's set entirely in Paris. It was a very different feel to writing the book because there was not a World War II element to it. It was just
Oh,
set
wow.
now in Paris. And then the book I'm writing after that, I hope, will begin around the turn of the last century. So, like a little bit after the year 1900 and
Mhm.
go all the way through past World War II. So, that'll be a little bit broader than I've written before because I tend
Ooh.
to just write books that take place in World War II and possibly have a modern day storyline. But this is a broader historical storyline. So, those are the two things I have kind of been wanting to do that I have done, but they're both still Paris.
Oh, well, we love hearing
Love it.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely. So, book club members, as we begin, please sure to put any additional questions in the chat. And as always, we're spoiler free until 7:15, which gives us 6 more minutes. But we have a lot more time to dig into this fabulous story. So, Kristen, for those who have not read it yet, could you give a summary and then so they'll be able to enjoy that before spoiler
Sure.
time?
Sure, absolutely. So, The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau is the story of two jewel thieves, a priceless bracelet that vanishes, and a quest for answers in a decades old unsolved murder. So, basically, the woman that the book is titled after, Colette Marceau, we meet her first when she's a child during World War II. She's 14 in World War II. And her mother is a jewel thief. And so Colette steals just like her mother. They are jewel thieves with a code of honor. They feel that they are descended from Robin Hood. They steal from the cruel and unkind and wealthy and give to the deserving and the needy. So that all works out fine and they're helping to fund the French resistance in World War II until Colette's mother is arrested and executed. So the night that she's arrested, Colette's younger sister, who's 4, is also disappeared, also disappears. Her body turns up, floating in the sun, and missing with her is a bracelet. That bracelet later turns up in 2018 in Boston. Colette's now in her 80s. She is still a jewel thief. She has been stealing for all of these years. And she realizes that if she can figure out where this bracelet has been for all these years, who has it, who has had it all these years, and why it's in Boston now, she may finally learn the truth about what happened to her mother and her sister all those years ago. So it's a story about justice, but it's also a story about coming to terms with the past. And I think it's also a story about figuring out the decisions you've made in life and whether you've made the right ones. Because Colette has lived her entire life based on the things she felt her mother wanted for her in the year 1942 when her mother died. So she has been a jewel thief her entire life, not because she wanted to, but because she felt like it was her obligation to her family and to her mother who passed away. But all these years later, like, are those the decisions that have made her happy? Has this made the life that she wanted to have? So it kind of raises all those questions. And there is also a story of a lost love and a possible new love in the mix. So that's kind of a little overview of the story.
That was so good. I
I'm
don't think I
terrible
can
at
follow that
describing
up.
it. Every time I'm
But
like, do I even know what my own book is about? I'm
no,
horrible
that
at.
was perfect because I literally I like to try to kind of summarize. And this book was so expansive. It
Thank
was
you.
that's the best I can come up with for tonight anyway. I mean, there was the tragedy and the tragic backdrop of World War II and the toll it took on not just that generation, but on all the generations after it. And then you have the
Yeah.
one of a kind jewel and the elderly but amazing Colette, who I know we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But it just tugged on my heart the whole time I
Yeah.
was reading it.
Well,
So, what came
thank you. I appreciate
first
that. Thank
for
you.
you as an inspiration for that story? Because there's so many elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, what did you ask? What was the inspiration for the story?
Yes.
You know, I've written so many books about World War II France and normal people, everyday people stepping up to help the resistance and using the skills they have and making a real difference. So I really like that idea of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But then I started thinking, what if the extraordinary thing was also an illegal thing? Because there were, I mean, most of the activity that the French resistance did and the resistance in many countries did during World War II was illegal, right? So we can look back now and with the clarity of time, we can say, of course, those activities were justified. They were fighting back against the Nazis, they were fighting back against the occupation. Of course, what they did was the right thing, even if it was illegal. But what if you did something that was illegal during that time and then you kept doing it? So Colette's entire life has been shaped by stealing jewels, which is without a doubt an illegal activity. But she has followed this code of honor, right? Like only steal from people you've carefully researched that you know are not good people. And then when you take the proceeds from those thefts, you give them to organizations that directly contradict what that person stands for in an evil way. So for example, if you steal from someone who's a neo-Nazi, maybe you fund a Holocaust center. I mean, like there's a very direct balance. So she feels she's been doing all these good things, but but really, I think I was fascinated by, is it actually okay? I mean, we can't all be out there doing illegal things in the name of justice because we feel that it's right, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like, she's in very complicated moral territory. She's in this very gray area between right and wrong. And I think those were kind of the things that drew me to the story to begin with. So, not only that push pull between wrong and right, and that whole gray area in between, but also what would happen if your entire life was shaped by the loss you'd had when you were 14 years old. So those, I think, were really compelling elements to me, and I think those were the two jumping off points for the novel.
That's great. But there's so many things. We have actually, oh, it's after
Yes,
7:15.
Yeah, we can get
7:15.
spoilers now.
So we're
But
spoiled.
I'm used to talking about it with spoilers. This is going to be weird for me. I'm used to like dancing around the truth.
Yeah.
But okay.
So we're in the spoiler zone now, and think we'll definitely come back to talk more about um the thief, like the
Sure.
stealing and the thief and the
Yeah.
morals of it. But one of the things that I wanted to say, and we did have a couple of comments in the chat already about this, and as a single woman in her 40s that has zero prospects, I'm speaking of myself for those who don't know. Colette's story felt it was like a breath of hope,
Yeah.
proof that love doesn't follow a timeline and that
Yeah.
it's never too late to find your person. I loved how she lived boldly. She didn't, you know,
Yeah.
she resisted the whole age appropriate
Yep.
mold that so many
Yeah.
people are handed. And writing from the perspective of a woman in her 80s, first off, that was the comment. We had a lot of comments that they loved seeing such a strong character in her 80s.
Yeah.
How did you find her voice and bring it to life with so much authenticity?
Well, first of all, let me just say that the men of Atlanta are idiots if they haven't discovered you yet, Lisa, because yeah.
I agree.
I didn't see
Yes.
that coming. That was
Heads
not
up, men in Atlanta.
So shame on you, Atlanta. You've made a mistake.
I
Um,
need to move. I'm coming to you, Kristen. I'm coming to Orlando.
no, trust me, it's no better there. I promise.
The next
As
book
someone,
will
yeah,
be The Matchmaker.
it was slim pickings before I met my husband. But you know, to be honest with you, I think that writing this character in her 80s who was discovering herself for the first time. I mean, she really was. So, like, okay, so we're in the period of time now where we can give spoilers, right?
Yep.
So, Colette has lived her entire life based on what she thinks other people wanted for her. And she has been so focused on her career as a jewel thief that she hasn't bothered to stop and live, to do things that make her happy. And the moment that things begin to change is the moment that this bracelet resurfaces and she begins to question, I think, all of these choices she's made. And so she does have a chance at love. She has a chance at love with Marty, who is this person who has been in her life for a long time, who things have never worked out with. But then there's somebody else who resurfaces from her past, who she perhaps has a chance with love at too. And for me, I think part of writing Colette was me having gone through cancer and most of you probably know, but I had breast cancer in 2022 and 2023, and I went through treatments and all of that. And I had a lot of thought about how long am I going to live? How much more life do I have? I mean, how many more years do I have? Am I going to get to see my 80s? And I think, in a way, writing Colette, having all of these chances in her 80s, was me thinking, I hope I live that long. I hope I get to be somebody in my 80s having constant chances at reinventing myself and figuring out the kind of life I want. So I don't mean I need to have a new romance because my husband would probably frown upon that idea. But I do mean that I hope that all through my life, and I hope that this is true for everybody, I will constantly ask myself, what do I want? Am I living my best life? How can I do better? And Colette is still doing that when we meet her in her 80s. And I think when she finally confronts those questions, she opens the door to a better life. And I hope I get to make it to my 80s. I worry about it every day. I hope I do.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
Me, that's, yeah, she is
Well,
Great.
Kristin, we have a book club member who would like to ask you a question,
Sure thing.
and she's going to be on in just a moment.
Great. Ah, I see her name. It's Marlene.
Which is so funny. We were
Hi,
trying not to
Marlene.
smile.
Oh, Marlene, your background looks like exactly where I am. You're on this. Marlene, are you on the same beach as me? Are we going to hang out after this?
We're twins.
We always are. Marlene, it's so nice to see you. It was so nice to finally meet you in person in Massachusetts.
Oh, wait, I think I have two voices on. What am I doing?
If you have it
may
on your phone, mute your phone so you don't hear both
Okay.
and you only hear the Zoom. There you go.
You know what? I can hear you twice. It's all right. As long as you only hear me once.
We can.
Yes,
we're
It
good.
sounds good on our end. Perfect.
So you have a question for Kristin?
I do. Kristin, during the launch episode a few weeks ago, during the theater night,
Yes.
a listener asked you if you had changed the original story. And you said you couldn't tell because there were spoilers in order to explain
Oh
that.
yeah. Okay.
And so I wanted to ask you, now that it's spoiler time, if you could tell us, and because I want to know not only what the changes were, but why you made those changes.
That is a great question. So I didn't know who the culprit was in the jewel theft and who had betrayed the mother, who had betrayed the sister. And when I originally wrote this book, uh, the grandfather, I am completely blanking on his name right now, but the one who was the policeman in Paris who
Oh,
winds up.
right.
Yes,
Charpentier.
Charpentier, exactly. Yes. So I had chapters from Charpentier's perspective, and like a third of the book unfolded through his perspective. And
Wow.
there was all of this psychological stuff about his wife, and like she wanted a child, and like he felt he had to retrieve a child for her, and all of these things that didn't make their way into the final book. But he was the one who had done it, and there was no interference from um, uh, what was his name, Hubert Verdier, right? Like the other guy who is the sort of the person who is in the nursing home who Colette goes to harass because she thinks he's the one who's done it, and so he was not a character, and it was all. Yes, it was all Charpentier, but like he wasn't a bad guy. So the whole backstory was completely different because I knew it so well from his perspective. But my editor didn't feel like the storyline worked having the Charpentier viewpoint. And I still so clearly remember those passages. Like it had him driving to the river. Oh, and he had also, the wife had miscarried several times. And so it showed him, like my first draft of the book had him going and burying these infants that she had miscarried, or like delivered as stillbirths. Driving to the river. Oh, and he had also the wife. We're getting a little echo, I think, from
Yeah.
And so it showed him, like my first draft of the book had him going. Is it possible to mute her? Just
Yes.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, so the first draft of the book had there were scenes where he was burying these stillborn babies, but the way that they played out looked like he was burying children he'd murdered, which didn't turn out to be the truth. So like the whole backstory completely changed. So that was kind of the big difference, I would say.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And you know what's interesting about that is, to me, when I was reading it, that was the first time that Colette really let herself go and feel, was when she was confronting Verdier.
Yeah.
So it was very powerful. So it's kind of surprising to realize that that wasn't the way you initially laid it out.
It wasn't. He really worked his way in as I was on, I think, the second draft of the story, as just another option for her to confront. And then the story with Lucas was therefore really different in the first draft too. It's interesting how it changes from draft to draft. I mean, I'm working on the book I'm writing now, and all of these things that made so much sense to me at the first draft stage, my editor has kind of pushed back on. So I think there's going to be some big changes in that book too. It's interesting what happens once an editor comes in and kind of gives you um, an additional opinion on the story that you've written. But yeah, that was how it originally unfolded.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much. And I think so I had too many things on.
No, don't worry, Marlene. No worries.
No
It's
worries.
okay, Marlene.
That's what
We
the
really-
extra voices were from. So this is coming from how I was brought up. You can't be over prepared. You have to do extra. And so there's always like an extra thing. And to the voice. Like
Well,
if something
thank you.
on Monday, I leave on Sunday.
Oh.
Sorry, say that again. You leave on Sunday?
If I have an appointment on Monday night,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yes. No, I am the same. I've already talked. So we're flying to New York tomorrow for a few days, and I've already talked to my husband about like we have to get up at this time, and like this is the time we're leaving for the airport. He's like, that's way too early. I'm like, nope.
Kristin is the planner.
twin.
Well, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank you
so much.
so much.
Thank
I
you,
really
Marlene.
love
so much,
Thanks for coming
Marlene.
thanks for coming to the book launch event in Massachusetts. It was great to see you.
It was great to see you. And I thank you for continuing to write
Thank
so
you.
that people learn
Thank you so
and
much.
know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes
Thank
because
you.
that's your talent.
What a
and-
nice thing to say. Thank you, Marlene.
Truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
We'll see you in the chat.
I love her. It was.
I do
I think she sat with
too.
my aunt and my mom's cousin at my lunch event in Massachusetts, which was really nice.
That's so cool. When you said her, and I didn't want to spoil it, but when you said her
know, I
name
didn't
earlier,
either.
I was like,
She's the
Oops.
best. She's been so supportive for
wasn't
so many
laughing.
years. I love her.
I hope Kristin doesn't think I'm laughing at her. It just
No.
came out because she has no idea she's popping on live in like 15 minutes.
That's really funny.
So I wanted to ask you, Kristin, an advanced question from Donna Rydell, and she wanted to know why you chose 2018 as the second timeline.
That is a great question, and it was because I wanted Colette and Daniel to be at the right ages. Like I felt like a little bit older, and it might have been unbelievable that she was doing all the thieving she was doing, and that they were doing all the travel to Paris and back, and being so capable. So I really wanted to push the limits of that. So I know people who are much older than that, who are still out there living these wonderful lives. But I honestly always get pushback from my editors with my older characters. And this felt
Really?
like a really good compromise. Like certainly at 89 and 90, they would still be able to do this. It would still, it needed to, I think, just be a time period where it was believable that Colette would still be out there blending into the world and stealing. So
Well, yeah,
age-wise, that made sense.
Yeah.
that makes sense. And then you can avoid the pandemic because she wouldn't have been
100%. Yeah. So it either had
Yeah.
to be prior to 2020 or basically now, So
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I have an advanced question from Jennifer,
Sure.
and she wants to know what led you to include Robin Hood in the story. Did the idea of Robin Hood come first, or did Colette's background lead you to the Robin Hood storyline?
Great question. And it was Colette's background that led me to it. So I knew I wanted to write about a jewel thief because that was something that happened in resistance movements, people stealing things, not necessarily jewels, but there was a lot of theft that went on that funded resistance movements. So when I came upon the idea of writing about a jewel thief in World War II, but also a jewel thief who was still stealing now, I started thinking psychologically, Why would she have done this? Why would she and her mother be so committed to jewel theft? And why would she still be doing it all these years later? So what I came upon was, okay, it's got to be a family tradition. And then once I knew it had to be a family tradition, I thought, well, why would they have this family tradition? And why would it be so important for them to adhere to? And the obvious answer, tracing it back through the generations, was that somebody in their family started this tradition that was something they couldn't ignore. And so I started doing research into Robin Hood, thinking, well, maybe the family tradition will be something like that. And then I realized that Robin Hood, there is a school of thought that really believes he was a real person who lived. So some people think he was legend. Some people think that the legend was inspired by a real man. And when I went down the rabbit hole of reading about the real man, I thought, okay, I believe he existed. The government of England believes he existed because there are historical plaques all over England marking spots where he did significant things. And if he really existed, what's to say that he didn't have descendants that have carried on
Yeah.
his work? So I loved that thought process. So it was working backwards from Colette. But once I kind of found my way to him and realized this was a plausible ancestor for them, I kind of worked my way forward and thought about what would an ancestor of Robin Hood, or what would a descendant of Robin Hood look like, and what would they do, and how committed would they feel to that legacy? So that was kind of the genesis of that idea.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
It was
And
fun. It was fun to fall down that research rabbit hole, you know? I mean, I'm
yeah.
such a sucker for cool research facts, and there's so much
Mhm.
cool stuff in the research into Robin Hood that I was able to
Well, I've
find.
always been like a big Robin Hood fan. Like as a
Yeah.
child, the Disney Robin Hood movie was
Yeah.
like my favorite
Yeah.
film with the
Oh, that's
fox.
awesome.
But I've always and I've always thought he was real. And I've been down that rabbit hole with people that,
Yeah.
oh, is it real? Is it, and I've always thought he was a real person. So I love that that made it into this book the way that it did, but also the research that you did. That's just so fascinating. Um, and it kind of leads right into the next question that
Sure.
goes with, you mentioned in your author notes that living in the gray area
Yeah.
between right and wrong,
Yeah.
and how Colette rationalizes her thefts and whether it's valid. So book club members, two things, leave in the chat. We're curious to know,
Okay.
where do you land on that? Do you
Okay.
think she was justified by committing the crime the way that she did? Also, I want to know, do you guys think Robin Hood is real?
Ooh, well, I
Let us
think Robin Hood is
know
real.
in
I,
the
I will
chat.
say I do.
I
What do
do
you guys
too.
think? Okay, so you land there. How about you,
I
Brenda? Do you
do.
think?
Yeah, I do too. And
Yeah,
if
me
I
too.
might point out, this is my public service announcement for Kristin because I wanted to just mention I love the way in your author's notes that for people who are interested in things like that, that you list what sources that you used and what
Yeah.
books you reference so
Thank
that
Yes.
you
you.
can find out more about it. And I just want to
Thank
let book
you.
members know if you didn't look at that at the end, it's definitely very interesting.
Thank you for saying
Yes.
that. And actually, even if you've listened to it on audiobook, I actually read the author's note myself. So the author's note is part of the audiobook. It's on there as
Yes.
well.
I
So that
did
gives you a
both.
little background. Oh, good. Yeah. And
And
I
I
love
love
the audiobook
listening to
narrator.
you. I love listening to
Thank
you. And
you.
as I don't remember who, when you were in Atlanta for your launch here, someone told you that you could read your own audiobook. And I agree
Oh,
with
thank
that
you.
100%. I love listening to your
Oh,
voice.
that is so sweet. I do not feel that way about my own voice, but I appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
never we never do. We're
Right.
our own worst
Worst
critics
critics,
for
yes.
sure.
The
Okay.
audiobook narrator who narrates this, though, is a woman named Madeline Maybe, and she is fantastic. She has done
She
several
was
of my books.
fantastic.
I like her. I love her as a narrator, and I really like her as a person too. So it's really nice to be able to work with her again and again. But the question was, where do I come down in the moral area about whether Colette's right or wrong?
Yeah.
Um, I think Colette, in her heart, does not feel she's done anything wrong. So I think Colette is extremely meticulous and careful about who she steals from, and I believe that in Colette's entire life, she's never stolen from someone who didn't deserve it. So to me, that's a little bit different than somebody who's just out stealing jewels randomly or stealing jewels from people they think might be bad. But like, I mean, she really researches very carefully. I can't 100% say to you that I think that makes it okay, but I'm 90% in the Colette is fine category based on the fact that she's been very careful and she's never benefited personally from any of these thefts. So when she gets this money from the thefts, when she gets the jewels, when she resells them, when she makes that money, she does not pocket that money. She had a job, she was a librarian. Her life is financed by that, not by the jewel theft. So I think I am morally okay with Colette, even though she has done very illegal things. But that does not mean that I would feel that it's fine to go out and begin stealing jewels.
I will say that, I mean, I think we know of PB&J. I think I'm the rebel. I
Would you go out
100%.
and steal jewels?
I would. I would be with Colette. I'd be right there with her in the way she does it. I think she's justified.
Yeah.
And in a way, I almost don't feel like it's a crime when you're taking from
Yeah.
people that
Yes.
spark so much hate
And
and are
they're awful
evil.
people. She
They're
steals from awful
evil,
people.
awful
Yep.
people that
Yep.
don't deserve any type of glamour, glitz. She's not hurting anyone. She's
No
not
one's getting hurt.
violent.
That's true.
Do it,
And
girl.
You
and
know,
I might wear a ring though. I might have one jewelry for
fair,
myself as I might keep
fair.
one.
I I
Everything
would
else is
I would also say that she gets away with these thefts because they look right through her. So
oh yeah.
like that's another element of it too. Like if
true.
you
Mhm.
like so Colette I think thinks of her age as an additional shield, right? Like people look at
Mhm.
her and the kind of person she steals from looks right through her because she doesn't
Yep.
mean anything to them. She's almost 90 years old. She's a little old lady. Like she doesn't matter to
Invisible.
them. And that's what makes her thefts so easy. And I
Yeah.
kind of like that element of it too, that if they bothered to look at her as a human being and a person
Mhm.
and somebody deserving of their respect, she wouldn't steal from them. But like the reason she's stealing from them is that they're the kind of people who feel that way in the first place. So I
Yeah.
kind
That
of like
is,
that.
yeah,
But then there's also the idea that if we all took justice into our own hands that way, society would
yeah,
implode. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's
it would
no way to
crumble.
run a rational society. So there's that element, but I feel like a Colette or two here and there would be good for the whole.
Yeah.
Well, and I can admire a Colette. I will
Yeah.
say, if you had asked me this question before I read the book, I would have been in the 100% it's wrong
Yeah.
camp. But the
Yeah.
circumstances and
Yep.
the reality you've created makes me question that answer. And maybe I'm more in the, yeah, I think that was the right thing to do.
Well, what I think is interesting about the question, though, is again, and I was saying this before, like during World War II, there's not a question. There's nobody's saying,
Yeah.
should she have not stolen from collaborators and Germans in World War II during the occupation? So, like, I think you have to ask yourself what makes it right then and then wrong later, which is it's an interesting question to me. It's an interesting set of moral codes that are kind of constantly shifting.
Yeah.
And it's very central. It's really central to
Yeah.
the story. So that's just fascinating.
Well, we've got
Yeah.
some great responses in
Oh,
the chat.
can't wait.
Cool.
So Anne says, absolutely thinks Robin Hood is real.
Good.
Edie says, totally justified and totally believe Robin Hood was real.
Great.
Debbie believes. Cindy says, yes, cool to have her descended from Robin Hood, and I'm with them.
Awesome.
Oh, Meg is watching. Hi, Meg.
Oh,
Hey,
Meg says
Meg.
hi. Um, Tammy says she's been to Nottingham, England, and there are all kinds of places
Yes.
celebrating
Yes.
Robin Hood. Fascinating
100%.
area.
Absolutely.
And Lynn says, I had no moral ambiguity about her as a thief. I'm with.
Awesome. Excellent.
I love that. I love the
Um,
way she put that.
yeah. And then we have a couple of people who also said the audiobook was great and they loved the
Oh, thank
narrator.
you. Thank
Lee
you. She's
says, I
great.
think Robin Hood is real and I loved the tie-in.
Thank you.
Lisette said Robin Hood is real, and stealing from Nazis is not a moral ambiguity to me either.
Fair. Yes.
Maria says, if you steal from the rich to help the poor, that isn't a bad thing. I think that's okay. I think it's an overwhelming response. I have yet to find someone that disagrees with Colette. So,
I wonder
Maria,
though if we had done
Diane,
that survey.
Oh,
and
right. Your survey function. I forgot. Yeah.
everybody
But I mean, if we
does.
had done the survey before they read the book, what would they say?
You're right, because I feel like you need to kind of get inside Colette's
You
head
need
and
to
understand her
understand her.
logic to,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
But we've had everyone also thinks Robin Hood is real. I don't think we haven't had anyone say
Okay.
they don't think Robin Hood is
Okay.
real. And like I said, as a rebel that I am, when I read the back of the jacket, I was Team Colette before I even got in her head. I was like, you
I
go,
love it,
girl.
Lisa. Awesome.
This is me.
That's hilarious. Well, I would like to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole before we run out of time. I love the way the bracelets were incorporated into the
Thank you.
story and how much just detail there was.
Yeah.
I know that you list, as I said earlier, you list your things that you've read and did your research, but how much did you have to learn to make that plausible?
Way more than ever wound up in the book. So that's the problem. And I think, every author I know does this, including the other Friends and Fiction ladies. I think we just go way down these research rabbit holes that wind up not being something we need. But but I think those research rabbit holes are the things that make you feel confident spinning these stories, right? So, like, I read multiple books about jewelry design, I read multiple books about gemstones. And in the end, most of that didn't actually make it into the novel. There's a little bit in the first chapter, but beyond that, it's just like, okay, these bracelets exist. But I really thought long and hard about exactly how these bracelets were constructed, how they fit together, how they looked, to the extent that I tried to have artists do renderings of them. And I've never shared them with anybody because nothing matched what I had in my head. Like, I have a very distinct idea in my head of how they looked. It's two interlocking bracelets. They're a butterfly when they're together, but apart, you would not know that they're two wings of a butterfly. They look like lilies. Um, it was very distinct in my head, and I have yet to find an artist or a jeweler who can come up with a rendering that matches that. So I know that's annoying. I wish I could be like, let me just screen share and show you exactly how the bracelets look, but they're here, and I did my best to explain them.
Oh no, I
Kristen,
believe it, and I also think that's why there's so much research is so evident because it's so vivid in the book.
Thank you.
You know
mhm.
that that was well researched. It was just
Thank you.
fascinating.
Thank you.
We have another connection outside of Kate Spade with this butterfly bracelet. And when you
Oh, you
said
and
it, it
I,
just took
you and
the
I are not
wind.
connections.
It took the wind out of me because I have a tattoo on my ankle that I got when I was 21 or 25. And it's a yin yang flipped out so that
Okay.
each yin yang backwards is a butterfly
Oh, I love
wing.
that.
But when you take it away, you can't tell it's a butterfly wing.
So that's exactly the image I had in mind. I mean, not the yin yang, but like
Yin
the
yang,
the
but
but like
Yeah.
that kind of thing for the bracelets. That's amazing, Lisa. I didn't know
well,
that.
when you
That's
said that,
crazy.
it took my breath away because that is the same description that I kept
Yeah.
trying to
Mhm.
find the right person to make this
Oh,
tattoo for me. And I was like, they can't get it right.
Maybe
And
they can design bracelets.
yeah.
I
Let
know,
me
right?
have the name of your tattoo artist.
And I'm actually going to go back to get some. Well, that's a whole nother thing. I want to get it refreshed and maybe add something to it. But
Nice.
that is so crazy.
That
Like you
is
just,
crazy. Another thing we have in common. You'll have to show me that next time we
I
see each other.
will. I will. If I could lift my leg up, I wish. But
Same.
I'm not that
I could, but I would
talented.
topple over backwards, and it would be not good for anybody.
Okay
So,
then.
on another note,
I'm
Lisette
way
had.
less
Oh,
flexible after breaking my leg last year. I used to be that I could just be like, "Here's my ankle," but now, yeah, nothing bends the way it's supposed to anymore.
that's fair. And Yes, we don't want. I'm not even gonna try.
Would not be a good start to my vacation. I'll just say that.
No.
So Lisette had a great advanced question also. She said she loved all capital, loved the book, but she did see some confusion over the title and wanted to know if you could address
Yeah,
about the American title versus the
absolutely.
international title.
So I wish it had not wound up with two titles. That's a frustrating thing to me because I think it does make it confusing for people. So the American title is The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau. The British, the title in the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. So it's all the same publisher. They put out their edition of the book. Is All the Diamonds in Paris. That was my original working title. It's the title I wanted.
Oh.
And the American publisher didn't like it. So they felt like that just didn't send the right message to their readers. And so we kind of collectively, including the Friends in Fiction ladies, who are my little built-in think tank, Meg and also Ron, obviously he's not a lady, but Meg and Ron, and Patty and Mary Kay and Christy, like we all put our heads together and came up with this alternate title, which was The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau, which I like. It's a good title, but All the Diamonds in Paris, I think, really connects to the book much better. It is the title of, or it is a line from the poem that Daniel writes, or somebody writes for Colette in the past. It says she sparkles and shines like all the diamonds in Paris, and it's something she kind of carries with her through her life. And
That is
I
right.
liked that idea. I liked the idea that it comes from the poem. I liked that it evokes Paris. I liked that it's about all the diamonds in Paris because there was a time that she was stealing all the diamonds in Paris. And that's a title that makes sense to me. So that was the original working title. When we sold it to the UK publisher, that was the title we gave them. And then later we said, oh, that's no longer the title. And they were like, well, actually, yes, it is. But we did ask them to include in their official book description, which they have, that the US title is The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau, because we want that on their Amazon page and physically on the book so that there's not confusion. So I know there's still a little bit of confusion, but that's why.
But that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
I mean, I love both titles. I mean, The Stolen
Yeah.
Life of Colette Marceau, it has a double meaning and it kind of incorporates the jewels and her life. So kind of
Well, I
hard
will
to
also
say.
tell you that when we came up with that title construction, her last name was not Marceau. It was something different. I can't even remember honestly what it was, but it was something that was harder to pronounce. And we knew we couldn't have it on the cover of a book. So the cover, like if it was going to be in the title, it had to be something that was easier for people to pronounce. And so her actual name changed. It was always Colette, but the last name was different because of the title construction.
Oh,
Which is kind of
interesting.
crazy. Yeah.
Little behind the scenes.
Little behind the
I
scenes.
know.
I will tell you that
Publishing.
happened. I will tell you that happened with the Room on Rue Amelie also. That was my 2018 book. That was not the original title of the book. We had a last minute scramble to figure out the title. And the street that she initially lived on was not something that sounded as pretty as Rue Amelie. It was something that was difficult to pronounce because the street name in the book didn't really matter. But once we decided that the street name was going to be in the title, we had to hastily choose a new street for her to live on so that the room on Rue Amelie flowed right as a title. Isn't that interesting?
That's so cool.
That is
Like to
interesting. I
have
was
to
trying to find it
retrofit
on
the
the
book to the
shelf.
title. Yeah, it's funny.
That's another great Kristin Harmel masterpiece.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
you.
I
With
know.
another one with a title like reverse engineered. But yes, thank you.
Well, there's one other thing I would like to ask you about, and it's kind of another rabbit hole, but one of the things that was really difficult for me as a reader, just emotionally when I read this book, was the scenes where Annabelle she's in the German prison, I guess it
Yeah.
is, and she's
Yeah.
awaiting her fate and
Yeah.
knows that her husband and daughter are there. How difficult was it to write those scenes? And how did you manage that emotional
So
stuff?
that's a great question. They were really difficult to write, but a lot of the factual information from those scenes came directly from a memoir called Résistance by Agnès Humbert, who was a very early member of the French Resistance. She was arrested. She was sent to the Cherche Midi prison, just like Annabelle is. And a lot of what Annabelle experiences in the book is very much from Agnès Humbert's recollections. So, including at the stroke of 7 every day, the prisoners said 3 times in French, "Our France will live, our France will live, our France will live." Like that was like their own continued resistance, even though most of them wound up being executed. That was their continued resistance within the walls of the prison. So I really liked that even once you're captured, even once you're awaiting your fate, even once you know you're either going to die or be sent off to a work camp, you would still have the moral courage to resist. And so even though those scenes were difficult and sad to write, I found great strength in the idea that Annabelle would have been
Mhm.
surrounded by people with that kind of moral strength and that kind of moral conviction and that kind of dedication to the resistance, even when they knew that their own contribution from that point would be futile. You know, like those were people who were no longer going to be contributing to the resistance, but in their hearts they were still resisting, and that was really powerful to me.
Very powerful.
Yeah,
I love that. I thought it was so poignant.
thank
Yeah.
you.
I have one more quick question that I
You got
know if
it.
I don't ask, our members are going to be like,
Ask
"What?
away. That's what I'm here for.
Did you know all along that Daniel was Tristan, or did
Yes,
that
I
evolve?"
did. I knew all along. I did.
We did not. Let me
We did
just
not. We
No,
did not know.
I knew that Tristan had to live. And you know what? I don't know if we've talked about this before, but it was really funny because when Patty's book came out a couple of months before mine did, about 3 months before mine did. And she had a small storyline that had to do with the musical or the play or the story, Tristan and Isolde as well. So I read her book and I was like, how, like what? Like you've also like my book was already turned in at that point. So I'm like, how did we both write about the legend of Tristan and Isolde? Like, I mean, it's a
That is
tiny
so
storyline in
funny.
hers, and it's really not a big storyline in mine, other than the name. But like, what a weird parallel. I mean, it's just we always say we're just becoming one big brain between the 4 of us, but that was just proof. I was like, I guess we wrote the same story. But yes,
Super
I
brain.
did. Yes, one super brain exactly. But I know I
Oh,
did always know that that was going to be the way that it ended. And I just had to find out sort of like the most clever way to get there.
So, so, so good.
Thank
I
you.
know.
I I mean, there were so many moments of strength and tears,
Yeah.
and it's just your writing is always, I mean, I hate to keep saying masterpiece, masterful, but
Oh,
I just can't think of another
thank
word.
you. Wait, you can say that all day long to me, Lisa. I will take masterpiece, masterpiece, masterpiece. No, thank you. That's
That'll be
very,
on
very,
her
very kind.
next,
Thank you.
the back of her next book cover.
Oh yeah, masterpiece,
Masterful.
masterpiece, masterpiece, as Lisa gets it. Yes.
I
And
love it.
as Marlene said earlier, thank you for continuing to write things where people learn, because I can
Thank you.
100% be honest. I never thought I would like historical fiction. I never thought I would read anything about World War II, but I will read anything that you write. I might not read a lot of
You.
World War II historical
No, but I
fiction,
appreciate that. Thank
but if
you.
it's Kristin Harmel, I'm gonna read it every time and love
Thank
it. So
you.
thank you for
Thank
that.
you for saying that. That's honestly the biggest compliment you could pay me. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, it's ditto from me because
Thank
it's
you.
just amazing. It's just amazing. Well, Kristen, before you go, we
Yeah.
really wanted to ask you if how readers could connect with you and get a signed copy of your book if they want to gift it to someone.
Sure. So my local independent bookstore, Writer's Block, the Orlando, Florida area, they're actually in Winter Park, Florida. They still have signed copies, so that's probably the best place to get signed copies.
Mhm.
Um, I I know I'm doing a few events coming up. I'm doing one with Madeline Martin at the Barnes and Noble on Sand Lake Road in Orlando. I bet you if you called them, they would take personalization requests, but Writer's Block always has them. So that's a good way to get them. And of course, you can follow me on Friends in Fiction. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find. Just search for Kristin Harmel.
Yay.
Fabulous. Definitely look Kristin up if you aren't already
Thank
connected
you.
with her. Oh, Kristin, I don't want to let you go, but
I know.
we have so much enjoyed this evening, and
Oh,
thank you so much for
having
being
me.
with us and for writing just such a spectacular novel.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much.
Oh,
You're
yes.
like I said, we are so grateful to the two of you. You're such a huge asset to the Friends in Fiction community. We're so proud of what you've built. Happy
Oh,
fifth anniversary. I know it's coming up very, very soon.
Thank you.
We couldn't be happier at the success you've had with the book club. And we couldn't be prouder of the job the two of you are doing together. So thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Kristin.
you.
We all really love you, and we are all really grateful.
We
Oh,
love you
we
guys
love
so
y'all
much.
too.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
And enjoy your
Go.
fabulous dinner on
Thank
the
Yes,
you.
enjoy the
I know
balcony
it looks so
dinner.
pretty outside. The sun is just going down like on the other side of the building, but it looks pretty. I think it's going to be a nice place to eat.
Well, enjoy.
you.
Thank you again
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, ladies.
Good night.
Bye.
Yay. I love her so much.
I do too. In this novel, it was just, I don't even have words.
You think, there's certain authors, and Kristin is definitely one. You think she can't outdo the last one. She can't do, well, I don't want to say that I think she can't, but every time you read something, it's like the best thing. And then she does it again, and she does it again, and she does it again. And I'm just blown away by her talent, you know?
I am too. And just the intricacy of the story. And that even, I mean, just that the one element of Daniel and Tristan being the same person, it just blew me away.
Yeah.
So
we didn't even get to Lillian, but there's so much
we could
have talked about.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even get to Lillian.
So much. And there's so much love in the chat. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We're in the after show now.
Yes.
And I'm proud of myself for getting through this without crying. I get a gold star. I'm giving myself.
Go, Lisa.
I mean, I did cry when I read the book. I think we all did. There were several comments about tears and crying in the book. And Kristin Harmel has been such a blessing in my life for so long. Like, not just her books, just her as a person as well. So, well, sometimes when the people you love, and it's harder to get your words out and get, like I'm sitting here talking about my tattoo. I think I would have done that if it was somebody else. I was like, okay, it's book club, Lisa. Let's refocus.
Well, it was applicable.
I mean, it took
I didn't know you had that tattoo, but okay.
It just took my breath away when she said it. I was like, this is exactly what I went through for years trying to explain this. And you're not going to just get a tattoo and hope it comes out right. Like, it has to be right, because we don't want it to be wrong. Anyways,
goodness.
that was,
I was going to say, we've gone a little far.
Okay.
Back
in now. Show. We have announcements. We have things.
We do have announcements, and I'm going to start so Lisa can get
myself together.
First, I'm excited to report that our August Saturday giveaway author is going to be Vanessa Riley. So, whoop, whoop on that. And our August book club discussion will be August 18th with Eliza Knight and Confessions of a Grammar Queen. I cannot wait to read that one.
I am excited. Kristin actually recommended that to us.
Did
I think she blurbed it. Don't quote me on it, but she loved it, whether she blurbed it or not.
Yep, I
And
don't recall either.
I'm excited to read that book.
Me
Very
too.
excited.
And book club members, our next happy hour with Ron Block is going to be September 4th at our usual 7:30 p.m. That's always a good time.
Yay! Woohoo! Our September book club pick is August Lane by Regina Black, which I'm very excited for everyone to read. It's another great book, country music, and a whole lot goes on in there. So that's going to be on September 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're excited about that. And our reading challenge prompt this month is to read a book set in France, which, if you're still with us, you have completed that challenge.
That's right.
But there are other books set in France if you want to add a couple more on there. I'm actually going to read another one as well. And then next month is an author's sophomore book. And there's been some questions on the page what an author's sophomore book is, whether it's the second book in a series or the second book written by the author. And we define it as the second book written by the author. So instead of the debut, you read the sophomore book. It's the second book. So there's some great ones. People of Means by Nancy Johnson. You can go back to some of your favorite authors and find out what their second book was and read a backlist book. It's a good way to read books that might be older that you haven't had the chance to read. So we look forward to discussing that with you guys. And I think Brenda wants to talk about this little thing we have. I don't know. It's this little anniversary party we have coming up.
Yes.
Little.
Yes. I definitely want to talk about that. I can almost still not believe this is happening, but we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary in the Atlanta area, and we have events Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for our book club members to enjoy. We're kicking things off on Friday night, August 8th, with a live happy hour in person with Ron Block, live at the Lazy Dog Restaurant.
Yay!
7 o'clock. Yay!
Woohoo!
And then on Saturday, we have a sweet tea social at Poe and Company in Milton, Georgia, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with authors Piper Hughley, Danini Milner, and Kristin Ness. Those do have tickets, and they're available on the feature tab. You can see how to get those tickets. And that's just the first part of the weekend. Lisa, why don't you tell them about the next part?
So then, after we've had our lovely Southern lunch and sweet tea and Prosecco for those who want Prosecco, Saturday night is our main anniversary party at the Margaret Mitchell House in Atlanta at 6:30 p.m. We have 5 amazing authors helping us celebrate 5 amazing years. And the lineup includes Mary Kay Andrews, Kimberly Brock, Lauren Connolly, Colleen Oakley, and Vanessa Riley, who, as Brenda mentioned, will be our Saturday giveaway on August 16th. So if you don't make it to Atlanta, you still have the chance to get to know Vanessa a little bit better. And we're big fans of hers and everyone involved. We're super excited. So you can get tickets for the Margaret Mitchell House under the feature tab or under the events tab. We have all the events listed there and the links to purchase tickets. But for this one in particular, you want to make sure you use the code BookClub25 so you get our special discount, and tickets are only $15. And that will include touring the Margaret Mitchell House, We're going to have little light bites, and we might have a little toast at the end of the evening. It's going to be fantastic and a night to remember. So you definitely want to get tickets to that. Then, as if that's not enough, we're going to spend the night at our fabulous hotel, the La Meridian, and we're going to do a swap and sip brunch on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. at the restaurant in the hotel. And we're asking members if they'd like to bring a book that's new or lightly loved to swap with other book club members. And if you don't have a book to swap, that's fine because Zibby Publishing has donated books for us to give away to our members at the brunch. So we will have several Zibby titles that we love, from The Exposure to my favorite by Swan Huntley, I Want You More. My favorite book that I talk about all the time. And other Zibby Publishing titles that we will be giving away. So it's going to be a great time. We're going to have some food. And then we will be heading to the famous Foxtail bookstore in Woodstock. We're going to get there at 3 and browse the store. For people out of town that have always heard of Foxtail, you can look at the store, buy books. You can meet my book pusher, Hyphen, and lovely Karen, who owns the store. Hyphen will, once she
I do
knows what
think
you like.
Hyphen is okay with that title, but still, it's
Oh
very
yeah,
funny.
she is. She knows how I feel about her. And then we're going to walk across the street to the theater where Karen Slaughter and Mary Kay are doing their In Conversation to celebrate Karen's new book. We will be wearing our book club t-shirts that day because we're going to take an awesome group photo. And that event's from 4 to 6, and that's how we're closing out the weekend of the official events. And then some people will be going home, some are staying till Monday. We will have hotel shenanigans each night, I'm sure. So definitely come and hang out with us. We can't wait to celebrate. And please, if you are coming to any of the events, on the events tab, make sure you RSVP so we have a good head count to give the restaurants, and mainly the restaurant, and for the brunch and the other things. The ticketed events are different. We'll know because you bought a ticket. But the
Right.
happy hour and the brunch on Sunday, it's important to RSVP. So
I gotta say,
yay!
Lisa, you're scaring me about the hotel shenanigans. Because
Our
we're
room
rooming
is
together.
huge, Brenda. We could have a party in the room. We really could. And we may. You never know. Bookish party. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a blast. I cannot wait. I hope we will be able to see so many of you that during that weekend. I know some people can't come, but we will try to share as much in photos and stuff as we can for you guys. I did want to mention one final thing before we close out tonight, and that is that Lisa and I have created a Buy Me a Coffee account. It's very similar to GoFundMe. And we created Buy Me a Coffee as a way to allow our book club members to contribute $5 for 5 years. That way they can contribute to the anniversary costs and sort of ongoing expenses that Lisa and I have been pretty much kind of just footing ourselves in terms of running the book club and mailing things out and giveaways and that sort of thing. So if you enjoy the book club and are in a position to do so, please buy us a coffee for $5, and you will see that on the featured
$5.
tab as well. And we will be putting it in the comments section of the video tonight, so you can check it out there.
Thank you. Yes, $5. Buy us a coffee. We appreciate all the support that you guys have given us thus far. And there is one other thing. I saw something in the chat about questions about the general area and things for that weekend. So for those of you that are coming, we haven't posted it yet, but we're going to be posting it this week. But you can save the date. We are going to have a webinar Know Before You Go, where we're going to go over the itinerary for the weekend, things that we have. We have Atlanta riders because some of the things like Foxtail is a little far, so we want to make sure our out of town guests can either ride with someone. And we'll talk about all of that. We don't want to take up time on a live. This will be a private webinar, but we will post it on the events tab. It's going to be on Wednesday. Wait, is it Wednesday? Sorry, I was not going to say this tonight. Yes, Wednesday, July 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you will have to register for it. And then we'll have a webinar. We'll talk about everything. We can answer all your questions. The local girls will be on there as well. And we can also kind of meet and see people that are coming beforehand and talk about the weekend. So definitely put that on your calendar and we'll have more details to come for that. So thank you guys for hanging out with us and
Yes.
celebrating 5 years.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. I know. I know. Again, thank you. And thanks for hanging in with us on the after show. And as always, happy reading.
Yes, happy reading. And I'm going to end it a little different by ending it as Kristin Harmel did in her author's note and say, I wish you all a life that sparkles just as brightly as all the diamonds in Paris. Good night. PB&J out.
Good night.